I want you to say
Started.
ready.
Started.
My book, What Price Power, is a book that I wrote about myself, basically. And what does this book have to do with today? Well, it has a lot to do with it today because it's still pretty relevant to the dilemma that women are in, which is what comes first, family, career, success, and other things having to do with how to deal with men who control. And here, let me just read you some of the questions I wrote down. What do I do when I go out to dinner with my friends? And my husband pushes his elbow in front of me and talks to everyone. And I'm in the background. And I don't want to say anything because he puts down everything I say. What do I do? So I just shut up and I don't say anything. Well, guess what? There are other solutions to this. What you can really do is shut him up by speaking and putting him down when he talks and not allowing you to be someone who is submissive to him by saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm speaking. Something that simple women have difficulty with because men in general have learned to have the upper hand. You know, they really still do, which is amazing that it's still happening at this stage of the game, that men are basically getting paid more than women still now today, when women are raising their own families, when women are depending on their own income to make a living. And so what? It seems to be that we need to know how to reinvent ourselves, how to repackage ourselves, know what it is that we can give the right image and perspective of ourselves. Here, let me read you something else. I don't know what I'm going to read, but let me see what I can find. My daughter lived away from home, and she developed an unusual relationship with someone who is promising her the world if she just stays another year or 2 or 3. He's going to leave his wife. He's going to leave his wife. What should I do? Should I tell her to stay? She's so in love. Should I tell her to leave and then she'll be alone? Well, here we go again. It's the same thing again. Men take advantage of situations. Is this guy going to leave his wife? Probably not. Is your daughter going to be hurt? Probably yes. So what do? Instant gratification isn't going to help her in the long run. She needs to run as fast as she can from this person who promises her everything. Because if you really care about someone, you mean business. If you really care about someone, you put that ring on her finger. You don't wait. So here's another way men control. I mean, if you don't want to be controlled by a man, the best thing you can do is really get a job yourself. Go ahead and get your own power. And then you'll have your own say. That's the only way. So these questions I have here, how men control and what happens, is just across the board if you allow it. If you look to someone else for everything, guess what's going to happen? He will take the power away and he will do whatever he wants. If you tell someone, kick me, even if they protest, after a while, they'll treat you like a doormat. But whose fault is it really? Is it that person's fault or something that you set up, something that you were taught? So having power means self-respect. And it's just important to know that if you're married, that both of you have to be able to talk and make plans. That both of you have to be able to listen to each other. That both of you have to make financial decisions about vacations, where money goes, where the responsibility goes, what to spend on your children. Both of you need to define how to create a happy lifestyle. I mean, isn't that what you really planned for anyway? So, all this is something that we really need to look into. Are we just passive recipients? Or are we the go-getters that we say we are? Women are in conflict. They're a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I remember my mother used to say, I could have been a great businesswoman, but she was so passive with my father. She was so subservient with my father, and it was innate. And because of that, she set up her own disappointments. So this is something that I learned at a very young age. Who are you really and what do you want to do is very different than the image that you present yourself to be. So we're talking about happiness, talking about in this book about having the right tools in your life, therapy for growth. You should trust your feelings. If you feel something about someone, I can guarantee you you're usually going to be right. The only thing is that as time goes on, you forget your initial feelings, and those feelings are sabotaged by surface stuff that have nothing to do with the real issues. Give yourself permission to speak up and to give your own feelings out there, because only then will you have less hysteria. Because after all, hysteria is about hysterical women who don't give themselves permission, and then they boil up to the top and then they explode. You don't want to do that either. And then learn how to put the wall up. That if you have to actually not hear what the other person's saying, if you're being told a set of rules that have nothing to do with you, don't integrate those feelings. Don't feel you have to identify yourself with someone else's viewpoints of who you should be. And always be appropriate to inappropriate situations, because if you're grounded, if you have a path to stand on, no matter what happens in life, you can go back on that path. And you should be the one that has the healthy approach, no matter who there is around you, and no matter what it is that they're doing. So some of these things you should know about. Protecting yourself from other people's envy. Those are their issues. You don't have to be defensive. You don't have to make them more comfortable. That's their problem. You don't have to say, I'm nobody. Don't worry about me. I don't have anything you have to be afraid of. And then you become again submissive. Women are very good at that. Women are very good at making themselves look bad so other people can feel good. But when is this going to stop? When are we going to actually say, you know what, we're powerful, we know what we're saying, we can make a difference, and live with it. Give yourself a break and stop feeling that you really have to have answers. We don't have to give answers. You know, it's so interesting. As I'm talking, I'm thinking about this. When I became a therapist, when I got my PhD, people would ask me, especially women, you know, and what school did you go to? How many years have you been in practice? How many patients do you have? How much do you charge? Nobody asks my husband that. He's an attorney. What school does he go to? Or what school, how much is he charging? Or any of this stuff. So, really, there's a setup here. There's a different set of rules that we have to respect, that we are entitled not to give any answers if we don't want to. And here, the happiest women have husbands who discuss family income, who do cooking and chores around the house, who understands my feelings. So these are some of the things that husbands who don't control do, that are something that are very important to know before you start a relationship, what to expect. And then the women who are least happy, that's also their husbands use irritating voices, they look at their watches,